Of how caucus is going to run, some of the things that will be expected, the technology that's going to be behind it all, and yes, this year there is a lot more technology than we're probably used to with the presidential preference poll. So I'm going to go through all of that information. Feel free to ask questions as we go along if you don't understand something, and at the end we'll have time for questions and answers as well. So. Just first of all, some important dates to be mindful of. Today is we're doing a training. We do not have all of the resources available from the state today, and we are hoping, the state says that we should get everything by the 13th. So I'm going to try to cover everything tonight. There are some things that we won't be able to see in a live environment because they're not live, because the state doesn't have them live. But I've got screenshots that we can go through. Somewhere after the 13th, we'll do a Zoom call or just send out a short video and explanation of how to do everything in more time. We encourage all of you to come to our Lincoln Day dinner on February 29th. If you have not registered for the Lincoln Day dinner, bought tickets, we invite you to do so. It's $35 per person if you buy as a couple, so $70 per couple. If you are just buying a single ticket, it's $40. That includes your dinner. It's a very nice dinner, dessert, as well as our entertainment. So the cost, to be completely honest, we are not making any money on the ticket sales. It's paying for the conference center and for the meal. So please come in and attend. Jason Chaffetz is our keynote speaker. We're really excited to have him. We do have a deadline of a week before the event to have everything sold. So a week before the event, we'll shut the tickets off. So make sure you buy your tickets now. March 5th, that's the caucus date. It's going to be a busy day. We're going to have a lot of people show up. So put that on your calendar. When you are at caucus meeting, you're talking about the conventions. There's two different conventions that people will go to. One is our county convention, so everyone who's elected as a county delegate on caucus night has to be able to attend our county convention on April 16th from 5 to 9 p.m. So that's a really important thing to tell people before they get nominated, before they say yes to being a delegate. They need to show up. We have increased the delegates for each precinct this year. So we will have a total of 300 delegates from the county for county delegates. That's up from 180. We want more people to be involved, so and we hope everyone that's elected will attend. If a state delegate is elected, they will need to be able to attend the state convention on April 27th. That will be in Salt Lake City at the Salt Palace. So again, if they cannot attend that, they should not be a state delegate. So, pre-registration. This year, our caucus attendance is going to require pre-registration. This is because there's a presidential preference poll, and we want to make sure that only registered Republicans are voting in this election. Because the county is not putting this on, we didn't send out absentee ballots like we normally do. So this is going to be a little bit different from what people are used to doing. Beforehand, once we have the pre-registration site available, we will have radio ads, we'll have Facebook ads, all of the information will be on uintaghop.org. We're asking you to utilize the call list that I emailed to you a couple weeks ago. Go door to door. And all of this stuff doesn't have to be done by you individually. Please get people in your precinct to help you. But we want to make sure that the word is out and that people know what is up and how to pre-register. As precinct officers or even those volunteers that choose to help you, you can help people pre-register. So if you make a phone call and you're talking to your neighbor or whoever, they don't have a computer, or they don't like technology, whatever it is, you can go on the site. You're just going to ask them some questions. You'll fill it out, and I'll show you that here in a minute. You can fill out those details and then help them to pre-register. You can do the same thing door to door. Pull out your phone. You can fill their information out on your phone right in front of them, and then they're pre-registered.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what was the cutoff date for those who had to be registered Republicans? Because I thought we're going to get a list. Also, the pre-registration makes it easier, I thought, but that it's not a requirement to participate.
Pre-registration technically is a requirement to participate, but they can pre-register the night of. Now, there's two parts of your question. They have to be a registered Republican, and that deadline has already passed in the state. So if they have not registered as a Republican, and they're registered with another party, they cannot vote. So if they're registered Democrat, they cannot vote. They will not be able to. I'll show you, as we go through, I'll show you this. If they're unaffiliated or they haven't registered to vote, they can register in person that night. It's the only opportunity that they have. They can't pre-register. So I mean, they can go on and they can fill their details out, and it will help that night. But they still have to show up the night of, show their information, and we'll do a verification, and then they register to vote that night, and they affiliate that night. Does that answer your question? Did it create any more questions?
I guess I'm just trying to, when we say pre-register, this is actually referring to them registering as a Republican?
No.
Or what is this, can you define what is this registration, and then therefore, am I registered?
No one in here is registered,
Okay.
including myself.
Oh.
We are pre-registering for caucus night to be able to participate in the presidential preference poll. So in order for people to participate in the presidential preference poll and our caucus night this year, they have to go on this site and they have to pre-register.
Yes, one more question. That means that not only do they need to be affiliated, correct, with the Republican Party, which they can do if they're unaffiliated, they can still affiliate to an unaffiliated status, but then they also, we're talking about this registration for the caucus.
Yeah.
So there's two things that they'll have to be, affiliated and pre-registered.
Yes, and yes and no. So I'm going to explain that.
Okay.
If you want your caucus to go as smoothly as possible and to have the fewest headaches as possible, the more people that go to this site before March 5th and pre-register, it will make all of our lives so much easier on caucus night.
What site is it?
Okay, tell us the site.
It's on Uintah. I'm going to get to that. I have all the links. I'll get to that. In order for, to your question, beforehand, if you're a registered Republican right now, today, you can go on this site, you're going to fill out this form, and you will get a confirmation, which I'll show you what it looks like in here in a second. That credential you're going to bring with you to caucus, either in paper that you printed out, or you can have a copy of it on your phone. You're going to bring that with your ID, and that's how you check in. If you do not pre-register before March 5th, you're going to have to do the same process. It's just going to take a long time, okay? Because we've got one or two people sitting at your table checking people in. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second too. For those people who are unaffiliated or who have not registered to vote at all, the only opportunity for them to do this process will be the night of caucus. So if they try to go on and pre-register, they're going to get a notification that says you're unaffiliated and you have to show up to caucus in order to vote.
So unaffiliated is someone who said has moved into the area or has never been registered?
They could be registered to vote, but they didn't affiliate with a party.
Okay.
Yeah. An unaffiliated person typically is someone that did not, when they registered to vote, they did not affiliate Republican, Democrat, Independent, all of the 79 other parties now that exist. That's what an unaffiliated voter is. So if they're unaffiliated, they can affiliate the night of. And that'll all be an online process that they have to go through the night of. So this is what credentialing will look like. If somebody goes and fills out the form and they're a registered Republican, they're going to get this confirmation right here. And it's going to be green, you good to go, you can show up to caucus meeting. This is what you're going to be looking for, either the paper that they bring or they're going to show this to you on their phone, that they are credentialed. If they're unaffiliated, they're going to see a slightly different message, and it's going to tell them that their voter registration requires an update. There's going to be additional details on how to do that they show up on March 5th, all of that good stuff. When they're going through this process, for those who cannot attend caucus meeting, if they are credentialed, so they are registered Republican today, and they go through this pre-registration process, and they're not going to be able to attend caucus, but they want to vote, they will have an option on that form that says absentee ballot. If they click absentee ballot, it's going to bring up some additional instructions for them in order to complete their ballot and turn it in. This is really important for you, and I don't have a slide for this, so if someone decides to vote absentee, there are two ways that they can vote absentee. Both ways require them to do a couple of things. So number one, and all of these instructions are on the page. Number one, they have to print the piece of paper. They've got to print their ballot. They're going to fill it out. They're going to put it in an envelope. They're going to seal the envelope. They're going to sign their name across the seal of the envelope. And then they will attach to the envelope their credential and a copy of their government for caucus day. They can do it on caucus day. It doesn't matter, but as long as it's received before the meeting starts on caucus day, that will count. If the other option is they can give it to a member of their family, of their household. So there's actually three options. They can give it to a member of their household that's attending. So let's say that my wife decides she doesn't want to come. I can bring my wife's absentee ballot with me to caucus, and I can turn that in. The third option is that they can take it to anyone in their precinct that they know, that knows them. They can hand them that ballot, and that person can bring 3 ballots back. So if you're not a precinct chair, you can only turn in 3 ballots. So if somebody walks in, they're not a precinct chair, they walk in and they've got 7 ballots that belong to their neighbors, and they hand them to you.
Choose which one.
Yeah. Choose which one. Exactly. So use your best judgment there, but that's a state rule, it's not a county rule.
Precinct chair will probably be getting a lot more than that. But they can only get 3 as well.
The precinct chair can have unlimited.
Unlimited.
Yeah, the precinct chair can have unlimited ballots. So, recommendation, if somebody's out collecting ballots, and from their precincts, and they get more than 3, at that point they need to say, okay, we got to get these to Steve, because he's the precinct chair.
Okay,
How do
so,
you print the ballot? I'm sorry. How do you print the ballot?
When they register, if they click absentee, it pulls up a page that they will have to print, and that is the ballot.
so that if people go and collect 3 ballots and take them to the precinct and then go back and collect 3 ballots, is that, okay,
The way that, it's a great question. It's a great question. The way the rule is written from the state dictates this, it's that the person has to physically hand it to the precinct chair. So if you're going and collecting ballots and you've got 3, at that point you say, hey, you need to get these to Steve or whoever your precinct chair is. If you're the precinct chair and you're going around to your neighbors, collect them all. But hopefully we have a lot of people that attend caucus.
yes.
So the absentee ballot is out there. It's for those that can't attend, but we really do want people to attend caucus.
They can't become a delegate if they're not attending.
Right.
They can become a delegate if they're not attending the caucus meeting. But the likelihood of your friends and neighbors voting for you, if you don't attend the caucus, is pretty slim. But if everybody, if you all show up to caucus and you know that, Mike Olson is in your precinct and he'd expressed interest in being a delegate, but he couldn't attend for some reason, and everybody knows him and everybody trusts him, I mean, your precinct could vote for him. That's up to them.
Okay. The only thing they're voting for on the absentee ballot is presidential preference, is that right?
No, they can vote for precinct officers on that ballot
So
as
they can
well.
just put random people down and
They could,
figure it out from there?
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, on that absentee ballot, they could put other precinct, they could put precinct chair, vice chair, they can write something down on there if they want to. My guess is that that's going to be pretty uncommon, but it is possible. So when you're opening those ballots up and counting them, you're going to have to take that into account.
When they print these out, is there a possibility that they can, like a lot of times if somebody's not computer savvy, there will be a print button and it generates a printable copy. Now, if they just hit print screen and then bring something like that, will that qualifiers that need to be the official printed version?
The way that we've chosen to do it in Uintah County is if they show you on their phone that credential and their ID, then they're good to go. So they don't have to physically print it. Some people don't have a printer.
No, I'm talking about on the absentee ballot.
Oh, the absentee ballot is, the instructions are very specific. It has to be printed. There's no other way around it. They can't come to you and say, here's my vote, and here's my signed envelope.
But they could say if they did print page rather than generate the printable page, because a lot of times you're on a computer, on a web page, you go print screen, it's not the official ballot.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, if they print screen, it just has to be physically printed out. So whether it's a print screen and it's got the HTML on it, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Just has to make sure, you just have to make sure that it has everything on that credential that's required. If it prints 2 pages, then they've got to include both pages of that print screen.
Is there a way for us to check whether they pre-registered? Like we could check the system that night and be like, oh, they pre-registered and we have an absentee ballot, 1 + 1,
Yes.
right?
There is a way, but that isn't available right now, so I can't show it to you.
Right, but that night we will be able to check and just make sure they're not sharing a PDF file around, like, hypothetically, right?
So,
They at least pre-registered.
yeah, a couple of things on here. So this is going to it'll have their name, it will have their voter ID, obviously Republican Party, Uintah County, don't worry about the house, it'll have their precinct number. All of that information is going to be on there. So we don't really need necessarily to go onto the site and verify somebody that has this credential. They have to show their physical ID to us. And again, these are neighborhood caucuses, so hopefully you know most people or somebody in the room knows them. In Uintah County, it's going to be a little bit harder for somebody to walk in and have faked a PDF, made their own, that says Scott Majors on it, and hand them an ID that says Casey Goodrich. I mean, they'd have to go through a lot of effort towards that. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. But any other questions with that? If they're unaffiliated, that's what they get. And if they're a Democrat, they get this. Not eligible. So if somebody shows up with this credential, they're not eligible, they can't vote. You might have people that show up that have this.
This is for caucus members or any, if they have this, they cannot vote for.
They can't vote, period. They cannot participate. If they have this, it means that they are registered and affiliated with a different party. So if somebody shows up to your caucus meeting and they're like, oh, I really want to be a Republican, but I got this. Can I do it? Can I register tonight? Nope, you can't. The time has passed. It's state law. You're not a registered Republican. You cannot vote. Sorry.
They're allowed to attend?
They're allowed to attend. Yep, they can sit there and they can listen and watch, but they can't participate. They can't vote. They can't be nominated for positions. So the night of, these are some sites, and all of this information, we're going to send all of this information to you. So you'll get it in an email. We have these links up on our website as well. So, but these are a couple of the places that you're going to be going on. I'll just show you here real quick. We'll visit some of these links. Oh, of course.
That they're on the precinct finder page on the Utah GOP thing, it doesn't come up with our precinct when I type in my address. Just so you know about that.
That's not good.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, like it put in like 400 west, but it didn't put in like south. It sent me to like the middle of Vernal as my precinct, which is obviously not the case here. So people might want to check that before we get super close, just to make sure that works.
Yeah, that's a great point. The state is updating that. They're in the process of updating that, so it's possible that there might be an issue there.
We'll also have maps. Will the old maps work, or have precincts changed?
Our 2022 map is the same for Uintah County. Yep.
Will we have those?
Yes, it's part of the resources that we've provided. I'll show you that here in a second.
I got mine from last year.
Are all the caucus locations going to have Wi-Fi?
Most of them, well, so all but one will have Wi-Fi. If you're in the Masons Lodge, they don't have Wi-Fi, so you'll need to bring a phone with a hotspot. I mean, that's what I just connected on. Just now, I connected to my phone. So yeah, we'll go through that in just a second. I'm going to ask more about that question in a second.
Where he was questioning if I enter my email address and it shows me someplace that I'm not in that caucus. Is the system going to let me register in that caucus even though it thinks that I'm someplace else?
Probably not.
So it has control to fix that.
So that's going to be the night of. They come and they're like, hey, I tried to pre-register, this is the issue. You're going to pull up their voter ID. So you're going to do it just as if they had registered. But you're going to pull up and verify their voter ID from here. Okay, here we go. So you're going to fill out their information here. I'll type it in so you can see it.
Now we have a birthday.
Yes, you do.
That means because why I'm birthday present.
So now you can see it's going to have their address. It's going to have their precinct. It'll have their state house, their voter ID number. Oh look, I'm a registered Republican. That's a good thing.
We should have checked that a while ago.
I should have. I was a little bit nervous. Just kidding. So if they have this credential and you can verify with the map that they're in your precinct, you can hand them a ballot. The absentee is not going to work. So if they have an issue like that, they're going to have to show up the night of. They won't be able to vote absentee unless they have that credential.
Jason, in the past, each packet has had a list of the registered Republican voters for that precinct. Would it be helpful to have that?
Those lists will be provided to you beforehand.
So we will have them?
But again, you don't. The whole reason they're doing it this way is that they're trying to make it easier on everybody.
Well, I was just saying for a double check and a
Yeah, I mean,
situation like that.
you can do that, but this credential, they've gone through the credentialing process. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to vote that night. So if you want to have a backup list there, if something's not looking right, you're more than welcome to do that. Those will be provided to you in an electronic format beforehand. All right, any other questions with this page before I leave it? If they show up and they do not have got too many screens open. They're unaffiliated, or they haven't registered to vote, then you're gonna come here, and you're gonna click on this link, and you're gonna ask these questions. Do you have a valid Utah driver's license or valid Utah ID? And does your address on your valid Utah driver's license match your current address? By the way, if they say no to any of these, there's a problem. It'll tell you what the problem is. And then you're going to click on this button, and then you're going to go through and fill out a bunch of information, and the state will verify that information in real time. If they're eligible, it will return and say, you're good to go. If they're not, it's going to say, sorry, it doesn't work, and you'll see that the night up.
So we'll have to do this with everybody that comes through.
Everyone who is not registered to vote, you will have to do these.
Can they do it, or do you have to do it for them?
You have to do it for them that night. Yep. Well, I mean, you can turn the screen to them and you can have them fill it out themselves.
Because if I just had like a QR code for a lot of people who are tech savvy, they could just sit there and work on it while I help the next person.
Absolutely, they can do that. They're just going to have to show you.
Right.
Look, here it is. I just
So
did
you're
it.
like, hey, scan the QR code, stand here, I'm gonna help these people, and then,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've got people that know how to do the QR codes, do it. And we have a couple that we'll share in our packet too.
Cool.
Any other questions before I move on? All right. Just some general resources. Again, we're going to give you all of this information. It's going to be in a packet, but we just kind of want to go through what are you going to do before, what are you going to do during, and what are you going to do after. So first thing that we really encourage you to do is find your precinct information. It's been sent to you. It's available on the website, your precinct location, and contact them and find out what their Wi-Fi password is. That's going to be really helpful for you if you don't want to use a hotspot. So it's your responsibility. We got all of the locations for you, but it's your responsibility to just verify what you need to do to go set up, where the chairs are, where the tables are, where the garbage bags are, because we're going to clean up afterwards. We gave the school district a lot of money, and we'd like to get our deposit back. So we're asking you to clean up. Please contact them and make sure that you know where things are at, that you know where the classroom is that you're going to, or the auditorium or the gym, whatever it is. Get the Wi-Fi password and test it if you need to. Determine the places where you're going to put your checking tables. There are a couple of precincts that are meeting in the same building. So you might have two precincts that are meeting in an elementary school or at the middle school. So know where you're going to set up so that people know where to go. You might have to have your precinct sign there. Maybe you do a joint registration, which would be perfectly fine with the other precinct that's there. So you can have people helping both precincts, and then you say, oh, you're in precinct 15, so you're going to this room. You're in 16, you're going to this room after they register. You can do that. We're leaving that up to you. You decide how you want to do that. Know where to put QR codes for the pre-registration. I would highly recommend that as they're walking up to the building that you've got a sign. We have the signs in the back. That on that sign you have a QR code that says pre-registered. When they get to the door, use painter's tape. Put a sign up, a QR code up on the door that says, scan this code and pre-register. As they're standing in line, have a couple of spots where it says, scan this to pre-register. It'll help you, for those that have them, it'll help you move that process along if people can actually be pre-registering in line as they're waiting to check in. Have a couple of different tables. So have one for people that are already credentialed. If folks take the time to pre-register and credential, let's get them through the line and get them seated. All they have to do is hand you their credential, hand you their ID. You look at them and you say, oh, that matches. Here you go. Here's your ballot. And then go into the meeting. Make sure that your contact information is correct. So we sent out, the state will be updating the precinct locations, and if you're a precinct chair or the precinct host of a precinct, your information is online. So when somebody from your neighborhood types in their information, it's going to pull up the camera and it's going to have your contact information. So if they have questions, that's who they're going to be calling. Make sure that you get volunteers. This is going to be really important this year. Get some high school kids to come and volunteer. If you're going to a particular school, go to the government teacher and ask if there's students that would be interested in helping. Get our youth involved. Make sure that you have people that can run your check-in, that can run support, a help desk, and somebody that can register new Republicans. If you don't know how to do it, or if you're not tech savvy, find somebody that is. As long as they're not a Democrat. There could be some different packets that we give to you. We're not giving you physical packets this year. You will receive a digital packet with all of the information in it. If you want to print it out, by all means print it out. If you want to just have it on your computer, that's great. It's totally up to you on how you want to run your night. We have your lawn signs here tonight. So there's one sign per precinct. And as you go out the door, you're gonna check a list. So we'll make sure that only one sign goes out per precinct because that's all we've got. Vanna is gonna demonstrate this. Kristen Vanna.
I would have dressed better if I thought I was doing this.
So on the sign here, you can do a couple of things. If you want to write with a permanent marker on there, you want to write you're going to write your precinct number and the location of your precinct meeting. That's what you're going to put there. So Ashley East 15 at the Vernal City offices. When if you want to print out a piece of paper that has that information, that's great too, because we are hopefully going to reuse these signs in the future. If you do write permanent marker, we can still put a bumper sticker over the top of it, whatever. So those are the signs. We encourage you to put those signs up in your neighborhood as soon as tonight. Put them up soon. But put it up someplace where it's not going to get stolen. So in your front yard, not necessarily on the corner of 5th North and 5th East. I'll get to your question in 1 second. The night of caucus, or the day before caucus, you're going to pick the sign up and you're going to go and you're going to put it in front of the location of where the caucus meeting will be. So if it's at you in the middle, you're going to take it from your house. The day before, you're going to put it on the front lawn of Uintah Middle School. Your question.
So some of our precincts are in multiple neighborhoods, and you're saying we only get one sign?
That's all the state provided. I asked for 3 signs per precinct, and I got 1. We can buy them, and I asked for additional signs, and the state didn't give them to me. So
I can't.
What about our county?
I mean, not these brand new ones. Yeah.
The county committee paid for that?
I offered to pay for it with the state, but the state didn't print them. That's the problem.
No, I know, but locally,
We could.
with our own funds, our fundraising money.
We could.
Will we have
You
flyers?
could also
to send out?
do some old school, like posters or something. I mean, there's a few
There will
extras
be.
a few days before. I don't know. Like, it's ghetto, but it's better than nothing, I suppose.
There will be flyers that can be handed out that you can print off. It'll be on all of this stuff. Will be on Facebook. We'll put it on Basic Now. We'll give it to the newspaper. So this information will be blasted out. The state is running a lot of ads, TV ads, radio ads. Have they contacted you, Steve? I gave them your information.
Thank you. I'm donating to the Republican Party here.
You are. But if the state wants to run some ads and they want to pay you,
I'm going to charge
you do. There will be flyers and things like that available, but yes, there is only one sign. Once again, if people want to run as a state delegate or a precinct officer or a county delegate, they have to provide their personal information. It is an elected position in the state of Utah, so you have to provide your information. If you have someone that comes in and they say, man, I really want to be a county delegate or a state delegate, but I'm in the witness protection program, probably not a good thing for you to run, okay? Thank you for being willing, but your information is going to be public. So make sure that they understand that, and make sure that they provide real information, not some fake email address, because it's really hard to contact you and let you know about demands if we have the wrong information. They will have to provide their email address, a cell phone number, or a home phone number, as well as their name, of course. The school is required by law to allow us to come in and do our caucus meetings, but this is the teachers, it's their office 180 days of the year, and so we want to make sure that we are grateful. So if you're in a classroom or you're in the auditorium, please just write a thank you note to whoever, whether it's the classroom or whether it's the school. Okay, thank you for letting us use the gymnasium, thank you for letting us use the cafeteria. We really appreciate this, and leave that somewhere where it's going to be found, and that will help our benefit of the schools. Take a picture beforehand of what the room looks like so that you can return it to the correct place, everything to its original state, and of course we want to make sure that we clean up. The night of caucus, it's going to be, there's a lot of work. So those of you that have done this before, you know, you need to show up early. If you show up at 6 o'clock, it's going to be a rough night. So be there an hour early, and depending on the size of your precinct, the number of people that attend, you might need to be even earlier than that. Show up early, post any maps and signs that you need to post. If you want to draw a map of where they're going to in the school, you can do that. That's not something that we're going to provide. That's part of your homework. Arrange your tables for check-in. Get all of that stuff ready to go. Whoever's in the Innovation Hub, Ed, they will email you the Wi-Fi password the day before. So watch for that email. If you don't get it, then call them and say, hey, I didn't get the Wi-Fi password. They're going to check in using that app. And actually, I'll show you that now. No, I already showed it to you, didn't I? Okay. Precinct meeting. This is how it's going to work. So you're going to start, your pre-registration starts at 6 o'clock. That's when people show up, they're credentialing, advertise this, tell people show up at 6. Let's get you through. If you want to bring refreshments, you can, but the party won't reimburse you for those. If you want to bake cookies or somebody wants to bake cookies or something, more power to you. At 7 o'clock p.m. is when your meeting should start. And it's really important that we start the meeting at 7. Statewide, there's a lot of things that have to happen, and there are results that need to be published. So because this is, again, we're voting for our presidential primary, we want to be able to publish those results as soon as possible. So start the meeting at 7 o'clock. In the packet that we give you, there is an order of what you're going to do. So you're going to start with prayer, pledge of allegiance, then you're going to read the party platform. I will provide you resources with a link. If there are those of you, there might be some that want to put a video up, you can play videos. It's up to you. You don't have to do it. But if you want to play a video or play sound, all of the resources are going to be given to you to do that. So there's a video on the state side. It goes through what caucus is, so you can have them, you can play that. It goes through the party platform. It takes 10 minutes on the state's website. I read it in 8 minutes allowed. So if you don't want to, if you want to save the 2 minutes and not watch the video, you can probably read it faster. Depends on who you choose to read it. You can either read the state platform or you can read the county platform. So that's your choice. The county platform took me 3 minutes to read. So that's your choice. But the state bylaws of the Republican Party are that you read one of those.
Is it our choice or is it the group's choice?
The precinct chair. Yeah.
It is?
Yep, you choose. If you want to read the state party platform, read it. If you want to read the county party platform, read it. But it's up to you. 3 minutes to 10 minutes. But that has to be done. Once you get through all of that good stuff, then you're going to go straight to voting. You're going to voting pretty quick. First thing that you're going to discuss is you're going to say, okay, we're going to vote for our precinct officers, and this is how this is going to be done. And by the way, you can change the order of voting.
They should be starting with the presidential preference poll, right?
Yeah, that's going to be, yes.
Before they do their.
You're going to collect the presidential preference poll first. But that's something that there's no discussion. It's just, hey, fill your ballot out, and now is the time to hand it in. So you can collect them like this. You can have them put them in a box. I don't care how you do that. We'll talk about counting in just a second. But you'll collect those, and then you're going to assign somebody, or you're going to assign 2 people at least to count. You can count right then if you want, or you can wait until the end of the meeting. The state's suggestion is that you wait until the very end of the meeting and allow people to leave. And anyone who wants to stay and watch you count the presidential preference poll ballots is welcome to stay. But we won't dictate to you how to do that. It's going to be kind of up to you. You're going to describe what a precinct chair is. So again, there's resources on the state's website. You can play a video. You can read the description of what a precinct chair does. That information is in your packet that will be provided to you digitally. Then you're going to vote. If you want to explain all of the positions and then vote, you can do that. I don't care. I've seen it done both ways. So you can say, this is what a precinct chair does, this is what a vice chair does, this is what a secretary does. Okay, now we're going to take nominations for precinct chair. Anyone can nominate anyone, as long as they're a registered Republican, and they can be there that night. And you can nominate yourself. So if you want to nominate yourself for precinct chair, you can do that. If for some reason you've got your precinct officers there, and nobody wants to change those officers, you can vote by acclamation. So somebody can make a motion to approve the officers by acclamation. I want to stress this. There are people that will come in and do that before you ask for nominations. It's out of order to do that. So you have to first ask if there are nominations. And even if somebody says, I make a motion to vote by acclamation, that is out of order. It can only be done if no one wants to nominate anyone else. So don't allow somebody to come in and do that and take over the meeting. So you're going to vote for precinct chair, you'll vote for vice chair, you'll vote for secretary. If there's only one person that's nominated or willing to do it, then you vote by acclamation. Marilyn's the only person that was nominated for precinct chair, and nobody else wants to stand up and do it. Marilyn's going to be the precinct chair. That'll save you some time, if that's the case. If you can vote for a separate treasurer, but if you don't have enough people or nobody wants to be the treasurer, then the secretary can also serve as the treasurer. So some precincts will have a secretary treasurer, and some people will have a secretary and a treasurer. After you vote for, and you can do this in any order. If you want to start with secretary, you can start with secretary. If you want to, it doesn't matter what order you choose to do it in. After you've nominated your officers, then you're going to vote on your county delegates. And I will email all of you your allotments for this. But each county has, or each precinct has a different allotment of county delegates. The allotment is based on the relative Republican strength. And it's a ridiculous formula that I had to go through and do. So if you're mad about it, I'm sorry. I did graduate, and I did really well in my AP calculus classes. So hopefully the calculations were correct. Every precinct is going to have more than they did last time because we increased the number of delegates. But it is based on voter turnout from the 2022 election. So just so you know, that's what happens, is we take the last general election, we calculate how many people voted Republican, and then there's this special formula that goes into it, and we figure out a percentage, and then we take the number of delegates and we multiply it by that percentage, and that's the number of delegates you get.
Last year, our state delegates was strong because 2022 we had a low state voter turnout. I think it was people not voting for the cops or something. Are they going up?
So we're still using the 2022 information. So probably not, but
Still down.
I have not received the allotment yet for state. I've asked. So once I get the state allotment, I'll let you know, but most likely it's not going to change from last time. And that's a really good point, Steve. We've got to encourage people to get out and vote because it impacts our county. When we talk about state delegates go to the state convention of the Republican Party, and they're voting for candidates. They're voting for our state and national representatives at state convention. And those are the people, whoever wins at state convention is who the Republican Party will support if there's a primary. We have folks that choose to go and get ballot signatures, and if they meet that requirement, they're on the primary ballot no matter what. But when somebody goes to county convention and they win at county convention or they win at state convention, that is the person that the party backs. So that's where our dollars go. It's the person that wins a convention. The people that go and get signatures, they're using their own money at that point. But we want to have a lot of state representation from Uintah County. Some of the other things that happen at state convention is these are folks that you're going to go and you're going to vote on the party bylaws, the party constitution. You get to vote on making changes to the Republican Party. So when you are electing state delegates, be mindful of that. These are the people, whoever you're choosing to represent you, these are the people that are going to be making policy for the state. They're going to be voting on constitutional amendments and bylaw amendments for the party. If you don't like what they think, or they're super liberal, Republican in name only, maybe you don't want to send them to the state to try to make policy for the Republican Party. So just be thinking about that. All of these people are going to be entered into a system at the end of the night. I'll show you that in a minute. So after caucus, after precinct meeting is over, you've elected everybody, you are going to now count your presidential preference votes. It's recommended that, it depends on your size, but you need to have at least 2 people that are counting, and you need to have a poll watcher as well, at least one. Preferably 2 people that are standing there that are watching. So you've got dual control, quadruple control, watching the counting of the ballots. It's up to you on how you want to do it. If you have some electronic means that you want to process those, that's great. The paper ballots you're going to keep and you're going to turn them into us no matter what. But if you want to put them in a pile, sort them through a pile and then count them out, you can do that. I don't care. Be creative. Find the most efficient process and then let us know what that was. You're going to count those and then you're going to report those on a website that I'll show you here in a second. You're going to go to, all of the links for that night are going to be on uintahgop.org/caucus. Most likely, there's a couple of places where you're going to report stuff. The state still hasn't told us everything, but most likely what we're going to do is we're going to password protect a couple of these links. So only you will be able to go in and get it. We'll send you out the password if that's the case, and only you will be able to go in. We don't want somebody from China going in and entering how many votes for Nikki Haley and how many votes for Donald Trump. We don't need that to happen, so that's the first thing. So you're going to do that, then you're going to enter the information at the location, online, and then you're going to call me, and you're going to say, Kason, this is Steve, and I have your number in my phone, so I know Steve is calling me, or Scott, Cameron. You're going to say, Kason, here's the number of votes for Donald Trump. Here's the number of votes for Nikki Haley. And I'm going to have the website pull up, a different back-end site pull up, and I'm going to see that you submitted that. And I'm going to see that those votes matched up. And that's how I know that that is legitimate. And then you're going to bring that information back to our headquarters, which will be at C&H Distributing. You're going to give us the paper ballots, all of the paper ballots back, and you're going to give us your sign back, any other materials that, it should only be those couple of things. So, any questions on this one? All right. This is kind of what it's going to look like. This site is not live, so I can't show you live, but you're going to see this. You're going to see state delegate list, county delegate list, precinct officer list, presidential preference poll reporting results, all of that stuff. You're going to click on the link that says, enter this information. So you'll come and you'll click on, I believe that they're actually going to have just one link to report the results. And it will look like this. So, first thing you're going to do is you're going to type in your name. You're going to type in your name, you're the precinct host. So in some precincts it's not the chair. In some precincts it might be the secretary. We've had a lot of turnover in the last couple of years. So precinct host is going to enter their name, most likely precinct chair. You're going to enter your phone number. You're going to enter your email address. This is really important because if there's issues or questions, that's who we're calling and emailing. Then on the next screen, you're going to see this information. So you're going to select county. You go to county. Underneath that, there's a precinct. You'll select your precinct that you're reporting on. And then, you'll see these precinct offices. So you'll click on precinct chair. And you're going to type in whoever was elected as your precinct chair. You're going to type in their state voter ID, which they have with them on their credential. You're going to type in their state voter ID. You're going to type in their name, first name, last name, and that they're the precinct chair. This site isn't done, by the way. There's also, you'll put in other information. So you'll put their phone number, their email address in here as well. Then there's a plus sign. You'll click on that plus sign and it'll open up another tab right here. And then you'll click on precinct chair, vice chair, and you'll fill out that information. Then you'll click the plus sign again and you'll fill out the secretary and so on and so forth. You'll also, it's not on this page, again this one wasn't finished, but you'll have state delegate, county delegate here as well. So you'll enter the information for the state delegate, for the county delegate there, for each one. If you've got 13 delegates, you're clicking on the plus sign 13 times to get your 13 delegates. There will be alternates as well. So you fill all that out, and then I believe that the last one on the form will be the presidential preference poll. You'll fill out, it's just a number. So Donald Trump, 40. Nikki Haley, 40. Whatever the vote is, you're going to fill it out. And then you click submit. Excuse me. Once you click submit, it comes over, it's going to pass through the site. I have to validate all of the results. You're going to call me and say, Kason, I just submitted it. Here's my results. This is what I have. And I'll check those and make sure that they're correct. And then you're good to gather up everything, clean up the building, and bring all your stuff back to C&H. One of the cool things this year, the party is committed to sharing the results of our presidential preference poll with our delegates first, or everyone who registered for caucus, before we send that to the media. Steve, you're lucky. So you're registered. You're gonna be registered for caucus night, and as a member of the media, because you're also a member of caucus, you're gonna get the results before it.
Or a news tracker, that?
Yeah. But the results will be emailed to everybody that pre-registered based on the information that you provided, and it's gonna say, here's who won in the state of Utah. So you're gonna get that information before the media does. We have a support line that we're gonna be, the county officers are gonna be at CNH Distributing. We're gonna be available to help you with questions, or when you run into those problems or those one-off situations, we're gonna be available to help you. Before caucus, hopefully you already all have my number because I texted you all last night. Feel free to text me, email me, or any member of our county committee before caucus night. On caucus night, if you need support, there's no way that I can answer 29 calls at once. So we've created a great little site. So when you go to our website, when you click on that link, here at the bottom, it says, we're here. So if you click on this link, it's going to open up a chat. And we're all going to be easily chatting with you guys. If it requires a phone call, we'll ask you to put your phone number in there and we'll give you a call. But this is going to help us a lot. So let me show you how it works. You click on New Conversation. And then you say, you can see that Brad has picked this up. Brad is our technology guy.
At-large member of the community.
At-large member of the community. He's done our website, Facebook page. He's put a lot of work into this. So great job, Brad.
Doesn't look like him.
My heat.
That's AI.
This is not going to a call center in India. It is us, the committee. So we will be there responding to these chats. You can type in any information. Brad can actually, so if you're getting frustrated and like, it comes over to us, by the way. You haven't hit submit, but we can see this. So,
Really thinking.
yeah, it's not documented, but Brad saw it. He already read this. So now I back it off, and he's going to be backing it off, and I'm like, all right. Is that easy? I hope so. We know that there will be questions, and so we want you to know that we're available to help you. But in order to accommodate it all, we're asking that you start with the chat. If there needs to be a phone call, we'll make it, but please start with the chat. Actually, yeah, I'm done with the slideshow, so let me show you some of the resources that you'll get. I've got a Word document that you'll all receive, and it has a lot of different information, stuff that we've covered tonight, some more details. It has all of these YouTube links that I told you about for videos. If you want to show videos, or have the audio of the videos instead of saying it, more power to you. You're welcome to use those. If you don't want to use them, print out a piece of paper and read it from a piece of paper, or you can do it from the website. But this will have links on what you do before caucus night, the agenda for the night. This is your agenda. I forgot to talk about other business as directed. So, of course, caucus is an opportunity for us to raise funds for the Republican Party. And we ask that on your agenda, number 6, is that you solicit donations. We ask for those donations. It can be $1, it can be $5, it can be $1,000. But, you know, $1 here and there from everybody in the county, that's a lot of money. If everybody just donated $1, it's a lot of money. The state has promised that the funds that we collected on caucus night, they will return to the county party. So that's something that we've never had before. Most of the time the money goes to the state to keep it. The state's promised that we will keep those dollars in the county. We're going to send it to the state party, and they're going to deduct out the cost of signs, and then they're going to send us the rest of the money back. So that is great. If people are worried or concerned about where the money's going, it's going to support Republicans in Uintah County and the Republican platform and Constitution in Uintah County. Yeah.
You have to have their address and name of the donators.
Yeah, that'll be part of the package. You'll have a donation form. If they want to pay cash, they can do that. I wouldn't recommend it because you're responsible for that to get it to us. If they want to pay by check, they can do that. They can also pay online. And all of that, we'll have a QR code on those donation slips that they just go online. It's through WinRed. It's on our party website. So if they want to do it that way, that's super easy, super quick. They don't have to share any information with you. They don't have to give you a check with their account information on it. So if they want to use the website, that's super simple, and we would encourage that. Otherwise, Jody and I get to go down to the bank at midnight and make a deposit. So there's your agenda.
Question?
Yeah.
Will there be a means, are we talking about any means for doing electronic voting for the chair and on down? Or is that still available through,
Ballot click.
yeah?
We are not, as a county party, we're not providing an electronic means of voting for caucus night, for that. I found that there's a lot of people that get really confused by that, and it's because our precincts are fairly small here, it's typically pretty easy to make that vote count pretty quick.
We've done it for 3 years in a row, and I just wonder if we contacted him at all, and if we can use that same thing, or do we have to contact him ourselves?
We have access to ballot click. We still have the access to it, but we didn't set it up for caucus. If you want to use it in your precinct, that's fine.
Well,
No, make work.
So, okay, so if I contact him, because you have to get your own codes
Yes.
for each group.
Yep. You send them that information, he'll send you codes. The state party decided to go a different route than ballot click this year altogether. And so it hasn't even been discussed since. But Kirby Glad is his name, and I'm sure he has contact information if you want to do it that way. Ashley East, we usually have a pretty good turnout, 110, 20 people. That's a pretty good-sized group. Most of our precincts don't have anywhere near that. I see it's like, whoa, wow, Ashley, split that one up. So we have done paper ballots every year that I've lived here, and I mean, it's quick, easy. So it's up to you though. You're the precinct chair.
I mean, I've done it 3 years in a row, and the people come to expect it, and they say they don't want to go back to paper ballots. It's much faster.
We talked about it as a committee. We talked about doing it electronic means, but we decided that overall in the county, I think that we'd have more people in dissent and upset that we were trying to force them to use a phone, even at convention. And you've got 100 people at convention that have to walk up and use the help desk to cast their vote or borrow somebody's phone. So we decided not to make that official. If you want to do it as a precinct host, you can. Supplies that you're going to need, Again, volunteers, you'll need some pens, stuff to fill out. Make sure you bring like notepads or paper, something that you can fill the ballots out for the precinct officers. That night, the presidential preference poll ballot, that's all that's on it. It doesn't have any of the other precinct stuff on it. So it's just the presidential preference poll for those that are going to be in attendance. If it's absentee, remember, it has everything on there. But they're probably only going to fill out the presidential preference poll. You might want some Sharpies. Those of you that have done it before, highlighters, that you want to print your lists. You can print lists and you can be checking stuff off. If that's your jam, you can do that. Make sure that you have an agenda, probably one that's printed for you to remember, or you have it on your phone that's easy for you to pull up and go through the process, or your computer, whatever. We will provide the caucus packet as soon as the state gives me all of the resources. So hopefully that's soon. Hopefully it's before the 13th, but who knows. This will be as of things that you can do, how you talk to your neighbors, how you get people involved. Feel free to use that as a resource. How do you build a stronger precinct? Some information there about how to build a stronger precinct. It doesn't really happen, but in some counties in Utah it happens. A lot of counties, precinct officers have meetings every month, and they invite their precinct members to come and they have a little meeting. And you can do that as a precinct officer, as a precinct chair. You can organize meetings in your precinct, and you can have regular updates. If you want to do updates through the legislative session, you can do that. You can create your own Facebook page for your precinct. Lots of different ideas for you to strengthen what you do. This last page, it just talks about some of the basic precinct officer duties. So this is a resource for you and for those that are going to be delegates that night. Questions?
So with the delegate issues, it's based on the voting percentages, correct? Is that the caucus participation, or is this going to be the general election? Because if we're going to do the presidential poll in the caucus, but then you've got the general election in November.
Yeah, so the formula is based on the general election. It's not based on primaries or caucus. It's based on the general election. So in November, we still need people to show up to caucus and vote and make their voice be heard, and show up to county convention and state convention and vote and let their voices be heard. But then in November, when it comes down, when it's time to vote, this is the vote that counts. It's the vote that's binding for the next 2 years, 4 years, depending on what office. We need people to show up and we need them to vote.
So how do they differentiate the general people, like affiliated versus Republican in the general election?
So every ballot has a unique ID. Margie, do you know how to explain this? If I explain it wrong?
Okay.
You do know how to, you do know, okay. If I explain it wrong, Margie will correct me, and I probably will. So every ballot has a unique ID. And that information can be tied back to a person's affiliation. Is that correct? Yeah. So that's how they know. You return your ballot. We know that you voted, but we don't know what you voted for, specifically you, but we know that you voted and that you were a registered Republican, or that you were unaffiliated, or that you were a Democrat.
And that ballot was counted, or it was whatever?
The ballot was hand-delivered, is that what you said?
No, then it goes on to tell you that ballot was counted, or it was returned, or we know exactly where that money went.
Perfect. And you, as a voter, typically in a general election here, you tear off a tag, and it has that unique number, and you can go and you can audit your vote to what the state recorded. Does that make sense? So you say, hey, I'm not sure if my vote was counted. You can take that down to the clerk's office, and they can pull it up and they can show you, here's your vote, it was counted, this is who you voted for.
No, we can't do
Oh,
that.
you can't tell them. Can't tell them who you voted for, just that it's there.
That's where it's tricky.
Margie corrected me, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw other hands.
Mine's kind of off the subject, I don't know if it is or isn't. Will you send us an email when the pre-registration is ready? Because I've been half an hour trying to find it on here.
Yes, absolutely. When the pre-registration is ready, I will, it's the first thing that I'm gonna do. The second that I get that email, I'm sending it out.
Registration for what? Us?
So, to pre-register for caucus, we talked about it at the very beginning. So, now, I want to say this. Everyone, we are all volunteers. And the person that has been putting together the pre-registration site, he has his own full-time job, and he has been spending more than 40 hours a week trying to get this all together. So he has dedicated a lot of time, and I don't want to badmouth him and be angry that it's not ready today. They put a lot of time into this, so I'm really grateful for their effort. It's not ready today. He told us last week that hopefully it will be ready by the 13th. They were doing load testing today. So they tested that site today, and hopefully it's available by next Monday.
I'm hoping this wasn't already answered, but
Tuesday.
Right.
when we're credentialing people into the meeting, prior to the meeting, one of the things we're going to have to print off is the ballots for the presidential preference poll. And we're just guessing how many we're printing off.
So you're going to know,
The list we've been given of our precinct.
you're going to know how many people pre-registered. So you'll know, so no matter what, you got to have that number.
I will?
Yep. You'll know who pre-registered. So if you had 100 people pre-register, you need to have 100 ballots. You're going to need more than that, okay? Because people are going to show up that night. These are, the way that this is, it's not this big long sheet of paper. I mean, it's like this big. So you can print, I don't know how many per page, 10 per page, and cut those up. So, you know, print a couple.
I'm trying to get this in my mind because that's also part of the pre-caucus scenario.
Yeah.
So,
Print a couple hundred of those. You know, a couple hundred, 10 a page, you've got 20 pages that you're going to print. Most of our precincts aren't going to have that many people show up. Yes.
We do have a small caucus, or a small precinct, but the last two, I know 2 years ago, and a little bit 4 years ago, because of the count your vote, we have had really poor turnouts. Is everybody seeing that? Last time it was like, why did we even come? We had barely enough people to fill out everything we needed.
So, yeah, it's a really great question. It's a valid question. And this is what I hope that this is the message that we're communicating to people. Count your vote was bad for the caucus system. It was bad for the caucus system. But we have an opportunity to change it. But we only have an opportunity to change it if we go out and we vote. And if we really participate in the convention system. The state is doing a lot of things. The State Central Committee has passed resolutions. We're sending these resolutions to all of our elected representatives. I have personally contacted our representatives and talked to them about these issues. The more people that get involved from a grassroots level and actually talk and say, hey, this isn't right, the better chance we have. If every single person in this room sent an email or a text message to Scott Chu and to Ron Winterton and said, repeal, count my vote, that would send a message to them. But we don't do it. That's the problem. We don't do it. So, but now, just in fairness, if you had a choice, most people are going to say, well, I'll go through convention, but I'm also going to get signatures because it's law and I can do it, right?
Well, and I think that's
We got to repeal the law.
I think that's why people are not showing up, because they're like, oh, you know, they're just still signing papers, and why do I need to go? But I don't know what to do about that.
Again, it's the people that go through convention, that's where the money's going to be. So you can tell your neighbors, okay, that's great, you're right. So-and-so's going to be on the ballot because they've gathered signatures. But the person that you nominate, that you elect at convention, that's the person that gets the Republican backing. That's the person the Republican Party says, this is the only candidate that we support. It doesn't matter that there's 4 other people that have the title of Republican. We are only supporting this person. So in our advertisements, we're advertising for them, for that person. We're pushing that one person.
Thank you.
But please, contact your senators and tell them.
Would you put that in the email you're going to send out?
Which one?
You said you're going to email us tonight, but Scott and Williams.
Scott Chu and Ron Henry?
Contact info.
So if we get the information on the 13th, we have 20 days to get our precinct members pre-registered.
Yep. Yeah, it's a short amount of time. And again, I wish that we had been doing this 2 weeks ago or even a month ago, but we're not. So we've got to work with what we're given, and hopefully we get the message out there and we can help people get pre-registered beforehand. Any other questions? I'm going to put up your precinct information. So those of you that don't know what precinct you're in, I'm going to put it up here, and then on your way out, one sign per precinct. And if you have other questions, feel free to come on up and be happy to answer them.